Hi there. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the face limit. I didn't really address this. I talked a little bit about it on the Discord. I called it the auto splitter function. Basically, how the model works, and I'll show you what the model looks like. Here we have Laura Cross, like first costume or whatever. So she's basically her character models here. But in addition to that, she has a bunch of like props and stuff. And these are just attached to the mesh, okay? So in general, there are two different types of geometry that are stored in the file. There's skin geometry, and skin geometry is, well, it's geometry that has the skin modifier on it. The skin modifier allows you to deform the mesh around a bone. I'm sure there's many different terminologies for this: blend weights, vertex weights, heat maps, I don't know. But for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to call it the skinned mesh. That's the one that has the modifier. And the other type is the ones that are just basically attachments. They, what I would call static meshes. They don't have the skin modifier. And so anyway, these static meshes, you can have any number of them. They're used for all the props and stuff like that. The game only allows you to have only one single skinned mesh. That is a problem. We can have as many of these static models as we want. So essentially, what we can do to kind of exploit this is, let's say you have a piece of geometry which has too many faces or too many triangles. Simply, we just cut it in half, and we save the other half as a whole new sub-object or sub-mesh, and now we have another 10,000 triangles to work with. By the way, I didn't mention this, but the total number of triangles per submesh, or any mesh, but for that matter, is 10,000 polygons. So if you look in the max script, it's set for 10,000 here, and that's where that comes from. If you increase this, you're only going to get negative effects. You're going to have some corruption in your file. So that is the limit. But like I said, you can just you create another submesh, and that gives you the ability to add more geometry onto your model. However, most likely you're going to want to have, you know, a skinned mesh, a high resolution mesh. The simple answer to that is like no, you can't do that. You have to self-maintain that your skinned mesh is under 10,000. So for example, go to the polygon counter. This is 2,000 triangles, right? Just make sure it's under 10,000, and then you're pretty much good. There are other techniques you can use to to disseminate. We call it dissemination. It's just not good, okay? So let's just use dissemination here. In 3ds Max, we have the optimize, and by increasing this effect value, we can see how that would disseminate. All right. There's another one as well. I don't think it's that well known. It's called Pro Optimizer. It's actually an add-on that was somebody had written, and then I think 3ds Max or Autodesk had purchased it. But simply this works like this. You just enable these three options to keep your textures in UV boundaries, enable symmetry mode, and then you activate the calculation. Then you can then decrease, wow, I won't break the 0, you can do that. You decrease your model, and this is way better for preserving texture on your model. But again, effectively it's disseminating. And what that means is that it's going to destroy the edge flow, and it might disrupt the formation of certain joints, like for example here or something. So neither of these are actually good for, optimizing your model. The end all be all is basically just to remodel the model from scratch, and that's going to take obviously days. Nobody does it, but retopologizing it is the end all be all. Okay, but I doubt anybody's going to do that. And that's pretty much it. But the MaxScript does provide some basic functionality to protect you, the modder. Although it's recommended that you just, you be wise about it and just, have your mesh split into sub meshes less than 10,000 and your skin mesh under 10,000. Okay. That's just up to you. But this does provide some low-level protection. I'll show you what that does. First, we're going to delete all the geometry here. Okay, and I'll show you what that does. So, okay, we have the skeleton. I'm just going to create a sphere. We'll just put it here, and I'll attach it to something like that, and I'll have to convert it into a mesh. And so this only has like 900 faces, so it's fine, right? We're going to change the limit count from 10,000 to 500. This means that the Max script is going to identify this as having hit the limit, so 900 is too much, and it's going to split it in half, and so we're going to have 2 sub-objects instead of 1. Alright, so I'll just show you what that would look like. Export this out. Fine, okay, and then just import this back in. It's going to reset the scene. We'll import that. Okay. Yep. And then here we go. There's our scene. As you can see, we have the sphere, and it's broken into 2 pieces, as I said. We have the upper piece, the bottom piece. This one's 500 triangles. This one's the remainder. Let's see if that's it. Okay. So now we're going to do another thing. We're going to actually do the skin to mesh. Yeah. Alright, so let's see here. I was going to actually I'm going to set this geometry. Unhide all. No. There we go. That was a little confusing. Alright, so here's our skin to mesh from Laura. I'm going to set, well, the count's still set for 500. I'll set this for 2,000. So her mesh is 2,704, so we'll set this for 2,000. And we'll export this, and we'll see what that does. Okay, I'm going to reset the scene. Import that back in. Okay. So for skinned mesh, it's not going to work as well because you can only have one skinned mesh. You can't make another skin mesh. So the best we can do is actually just look for polygons which have a influence which is weak, like a weak influence. And if it's weak enough, we just zero it out, and then we cut that part of the mesh away. So you can see here, now her body is comprised of now all these sub-meshes. The deformation would still work. Alright, so she's still deforming. But these have been moved to, like, parts of her body have been cut away and converted into a sub-mesh. Okay. And it's all done automatically once you export it, okay? So the limit again is 10,000. You should just leave it there, don't mess with it, okay? This works not entirely stable. On a skinned mesh, you can get mixed results, so in general, I recommend just not exporting a high polygon model over 10,000. You want to stay under 10,000 for the best results, obviously. Then again, for facial animations, that may not work at all. Actually, I'm pretty sure it won't work at all, so don't even expect it to. But I'll show you a project I've been working on here. So here's a model here. This model is actually a lot of triangles. About 200, close to 200, 192,000 triangles. And so the mesh is, how many triangles? 30,000 triangles, so it's about 3 times larger than it should be. So this needs to get exported into the game. So this is all left up to this thing to do that. For the morph targets, I did this manually. I just cut away the face regions that I didn't feel were integral, and then left other regions, so that they were under 10,000. So this is, I think, under 10,000. It's just close to 10,000. I got it pretty close. Then I just vertex animated just this portion to achieve my facial animations. Okay. So that was all pre-planned. Then I export it to the game. So I'll just end the video off, and I'll just show you what that looks like in the game. Yeah. All right. One of the things I'm noticing is getting more glitches with this model. For example, the audio cutout. Not sure exactly what's contributing to that yet. Anyway, here's our model. I like this room because you can get pretty close up with the camera. This camera's at a fixed angle. You can also enter Peter Pan mode, and it helps to kind of inspect the model, which I like. So you can see that the face looks actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Anyway, let's load into a dialogue sequence, and I'll show you the morph targets. So let's just boot directly into the cutscene.
Who is it?
Mademoiselle Carvier, it's Lara Croft. I need your help.
Miss Croft, I recognize you from photos and Werner's description. Come in.
Thank you.
An evil night to be out alone, Miss Croft. Our streets are not safe anymore.
Mademoiselle Carvier, I have just come from Werner's apartment.
And how is Werner?
I'm afraid Werner is dead.
Dead?
Can I get you anything?
How was Werner killed? What happened?
It's all a bit vague. I arrived at his apartment today from London. He was babbling with fear.
He said he tried to contact you.
He did. I never expected that. Not after Egypt.
Werner has been fearful for his life. He accepted a commission 5 weeks ago. Since then, he's been acting strangely, jumping at shadows. He even left a package with me for safekeeping.
Who was the commission from?
The client's name was Erkhardt. He wanted Werner to research something called the Obscura paintings. Werner approached me at my department at the Louvre.
Were you able to help him?
A little, I think.
Anyway, this sequence is super boring. Anyway, you get I don't know, a good look at that. It worked pretty well. The weighting obviously is an issue, but there's a number of reasons for that. My bone positions are poor. The topology of the clothes to the base mesh don't match. And I just copied the weights from another mesh, so they're not really that great. But anyway, yeah, the model is almost 200,000 polygons, and with the auto-splitting feature, I don't really have to do much. The only thing I had to pioneer or set up was the facial expressions, which is a very specific thing to do anyways. And other than that, it worked pretty good. So that's the auto-splitting feature. Basically, if you're using the script, you don't have to do anything. Okay, you have a limit there, export your models as normal, and you're going to be fine. So, okay. Yeah. Anyway, so if you have any questions or anything else, just let me know. I'll try to answer them. All right, take care.